All right, good morning, Shabbat Shalom. So every religion has what I call the nasty bits. Things that are kind of cringy, awkward, sound terrible. Things that you hope no one ever finds out. And again, all religions have this, Judaism included. And you got three choices in dealing with these nasty bits. One is just ignore them. There's nothing to see, keep going, there's nothing to see. That's option number one. It's a pretty safe option if you're a rabbi. Then there's option number two. Explain why it's not really nasty and it's better than it sounds. Not a terrible option for a rabbi. Then there's choice number three. Choice number three is just confront it head on and see what you can do with it. And that's what I'm doing today. So just to give you a heads up, and if it doesn't go well, I just want to thank you for my years at Adat Shalom. And I do appreciate the opportunity. But I think it's really important to do, and to be honest, and to look at it in a sort of head-on, in a serious way. Judaism is a religion of revelation, as you know. Not all religions are religions of revelation, but the Western ones, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, are based on revealed texts that are the core of the religion. And the question becomes, who did the revealing and who did the receiving? And there are lots of different ways of looking at it. There's the idea that the Torah, every single word was given by God to Moses on Mount Sinai, and that Moses was just a secretary who took it all down, but that every word of it is divine. So that's on one side. On the other extreme is that it is all just human beings, and that it was people who wrote the Torah completely, and that God had nothing to do with it. And then there's the middle path, which is there is divine inspiration, but also human beings put their own ideas into it. And there's really no way of knowing, because all the proof that the Torah was written by God is in the Torah. Right? It's a tautological argument is that you can't prove a thing by its own thing. Right? You can't prove the Torah was written by God through the Torah. You can believe it, but you can't prove it. You know, people who say, God said it, I believe it, that settles it, it's not a helpful argument. And then people usually, to prove their point, they use weapons, to show how much God loves all of us. And by the way, I don't know which of the three is true, all God, no God, or somewhere in the middle. The conservative movement is kind of like the combo platter. Some of it is divine inspiration, some of it is human. And the way I decide which is the part I agree with, that must be divine, and the part I disagree with, that's human. But it's not provable. And Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel actually talked about that the Torah that we have, the words of the Torah that are in the Ark, they're actually a midrash on the actual revelation. If God is infinite and we are finite, there is no way we can absorb all of Revelation at once. And that all we can get is a snapshot of revelation in the moment. And so no human being possibly can have an entire understanding of what God actually wants, is that we do the best with who we are in the moment to understand it. And again, the Torah is the foundational document of the Jewish people, but it's still a snapshot in time. It was received by a certain group of people at a certain time. And we are living in a different time and have to confront things differently. And that's why I think that there is a danger in using the words of the Torah to justify actions on current issues. There are a lot of people who want to look in the Torah to justify their approach to, I'm going to use a four-letter word today, so you'll excuse me. They use it to justify their approach to politics. Oh, I can hear people go, oh God, not this. But there is a real danger in this, in trying to use this to justify your political position. And I'll give an example from the Torah reading, because it was this week's Torah portion I was really wrestling with, and why I decided to confront this, is that Moses tells the people before they go into the land that will become the land of Israel, says, "Ve'achalta et kol ha'amim asher Adonai Elohecha noten lecha." You will destroy all the people that your God delivers to you. And the word that they use here for destroy is ve'achalta. You will eat them. You will devour them. You will eat them. It sounds like Hannibal Lecter is supposed to go into the land. Now, we look at it as a metaphor for destroy, but ve'achalta is to devour them. So there is nothing left. Lo tachos einecha alehem, and do not share a drop of pity for them. Now, this is a tough statement. Destroy them completely. All of them. All of them. From the elderly to babies, devour every single one of them and show them no pity whatsoever. And by the way, there are people who think that's fine, that that's what we should be doing with our enemies today. But some of the things to think about, though, is that there is no one alive today who is even a descendant of those people who were supposed to be our enemies in the land. Right? Everyone that we think of as our enemy in the Middle East was not there in this moment. Yeah, our enemies are our enemies, and it's real, and it's a problem, and we have to defend ourselves. But the Torah isn't talking about those people. Our sages were very, very concerned that we would use the Torah as a weapon against other people. And it never works. And there's a danger in general of trying to use the Torah just to justify our politics. When they say that we have to return to the biblical borders of the land of Israel. Well, the Torah gives 4 different sets of borders. Some very expansive, some very narrow. So which of those borders are the borders of the land? Again, the state of Israel should be able to have safe and secure and defined borders. I believe very strongly that the Jewish people should have a home in the land of Israel. And it should be secure and it should be safe. But I'm very concerned about people saying it must be the biblical borders when the Bible itself gives so many different versions of what those could be. Another question is, does God really want us to obliterate everyone, or is that our projection? Is that how we understood it? When people say that God gave the Torah word to Moses on Mount Sinai, what they're not taking into consideration is that Moses in Deuteronomy actually changes the words that God gave him. Right? If you even look in the Ten Commandments, if God gave you the Ten Commandments, you'd pretty much give them as is, right? No one's going to say, God, I like these commandments for the most part, but if you had just run them through like AI, I think they would have been a lot better. Moses himself changes God's words from Exodus into Deuteronomy. So how much of what Moses is saying about the obliterate and devour and eat the enemy is God's intention or Moses' understanding in that moment? Why would God want to obliterate and destroy completely what God has also created? Right? Our enemies are real, and I'm not naive. Right? It has been painful and it has been difficult, but these aren't them. And the Talmud is very much changing the idea of God from one who wants to destroy to the God who wants to transform, to change hearts. Again, we have to defend ourselves. But the Torah uses words like vanquish, destroy, obliterate, and the Talmud and the Kabbalah later on think of God much more in terms of transformation, of changing hearts, changing souls. In fact, the word that the Talmud uses far more often for God is Rahmanah, the compassionate one. Rahmanis, you may know the word, Rahmanut, of compassion. It comes from the word for womb, which is Rechem. It's not just God as parent here, it's God as mother. Right? We don't think, we think of God in very masculine terms for a lot of Western religions, but the rabbis of the Talmud and particularly later the Kabbalah think of God in much more feminine terms of nurturing, of compassion, of protection, as opposed to domination and vanquishing. You cannot vanquish your enemy. Right? Ask the Russians how well Afghanistan went. You can't conquer. You can subjugate for a while. But without transformation, without changes of heart, you are locked in an endless cycle of pain for everyone. We will only be secure not when our enemy is destroyed, but when our enemy is transformed. And it may never work. Right? Again, I'm not naive about this. This is painful and our enemies are fierce. But when we want their destruction instead of their transformation, we become smaller. Our souls shrink. And that's what I'm worried about. We can fight our external enemies, and again, we have to be strong. And I do believe in the state of Israel, despite all the challenges that are going on internally and externally. But what I'm worried is that we will fight our enemy in a way that diminishes us, that shrinks our soul, that prevents us from being who we are. In our tradition, we say that the Torah is revealed every single day. It's not that that is word for word what is revealed each day, but that God's infinite expansiveness and compassion is revealed to the world every day, and we have to be able to understand that and connect it to it. We have to remember that our values as a people, what got us to this point, is our strength, our courage, and our compassion. And if we have that kind of approach to the world, if we face things fearlessly, if we face things with this compassion, even for people we hate and fear, Again, compassion isn't justifying. Compassion is wishing that they no longer be our enemy, not that they no longer exist. Again, if we do that, then our descendants will be able to be around and to have their own revelation, their own understanding of God's compassion in the world, and that will transform their souls, the souls of their enemy, for many generations to come. Shabbat Shalom.